Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was listening carefully to Mr. Konjorsky, and I join with him in talking about the importance of his amendment. I think we should go further and not just allow, but require regulators to break up firms that have reached a certain size. Mr. Konjorsky put forward the idea that either our Republican friends had failed to read the House bill or were deliberately mischaracterizing it. In an effort at bipartisanship, let me put forward a third possibility, and that is perhaps our Republican friends have read the Senate bill, which is unfortunately much closer to their characterizations than is the House bill. As for reading bills, I know the Secretary of the Treasury has stated that under the bill under consideration in the Senate, the taxpayer will not be exposed to any risk of loss. I would refer the Secretary to sections 210 and 1155 of the Senate bill, in which the taxpayer clearly does take enormous risks, and that is the same risk that they would take under section, or similar risk that they would take under section 1204 of the legislative proposal he made last year. Under that legislative proposal, it is true that taxpayers don't take risks to bail out a failing institution for the benefit of its shareholders and management, but the taxpayers take tens of billions, perhaps hundreds of billions of dollars of risk for purpose of taking care of the counterparties and the general creditors of these failed firms. Mr. Baucus shares my passion for avoiding bailouts, but he says that the way to do that is to strip from the Senate bill the $50 billion fund there, or the $150 billion fund that this House makes available to provide for the creditors of a resolved institution. I would point out that the amount available under either the Senate or the House bill for taking care of creditors and counterparties is not just the $50 billion or the $150 billion. It's that plus borrowings from the Treasury. So if you eliminate the $50 billion or the $150 billion fund, but you allow the borrowings, then the borrowings start with $1. And I would think the ultimate total victory for Wall Street would be to tell them they don't have to pay into the $50 billion or the $150 billion at the present time, but that they are available for the FDIC to borrow money and to bail out their creditors and counterparties.
The gentleman would, if I could respond very briefly, what I said in bankruptcy, then the taxpayers wouldn't be exposed at all. So I'm saying that one of the things is no bailout. I'm also not putting
reclaiming my time. I'm more concerned with Senator McConnell's remarks, where he seems to take aim at the 50 or the 150 and leave the borrowing capacity. Secretary Geithner, we're here to discuss Lehman Brothers. We're doing an autopsy to learn how to treat future patients, and one of the possible treatments is either the House or the Senate bill. So let me take you back to September 1 of 2008. It's too late, I would think, at that point to save Lehman Brothers, but it's not too late for an orderly resolution. The purpose of this bill is to give you and the other regulators the tools for an orderly resolution. How much money would you need from outside the Lehman Brothers carcass to take care in an orderly way of the counterparties, say the County of San Mateo, which had put money in, seems relatively blameless? Would you tell them that, well, we'll sell off Lehman Brothers assets and we hope to give you a few cents on the dollar? Or would you use the tools of these bills to go into the $50 billion, the $150 billion, the borrowed funds, in order to, in an orderly way, provide more to the general creditors and to San Mateo County than the carcass of Lehman Brothers would provide?
Congressman, you're a very thoughtful critic of many approaches in this area, and I respect your views on this. So let me just describe again the basic idea underpinning the bill that passed the House, and it's still in the Senate bill in this basic context. The idea is to take a model that's existed for more than 3 decades for small banks. We have a lot of experience with that model over many recessions, many financial crises. That model allows the government to come in.
Mr. Secretary, I have such limited time. Could you just answer my question of what you would do with Lehman Brothers?
You're asking, I want to get to your question. Your question is an excellent question. With this authority that we're proposing, the government would have been able to come in, put Lehman into receivership, to wipe out equity holders, to replace management in the board, and manage that institution's unwinding in a way that maximized return to the taxpayer and minimize risk of losses for the system. It is an
Mr. Secretary, how much money would you have needed?
As you know, it's an unanswerable question, how much money you might need in that circumstance. You cannot know in advance how much.
But tens of billions.
No, the gentleman's time has expired.